New haircut. Hey guys, David here. Sorry I've been gone for so long. I've had to take care of some personal issues, but I am now back bringing you guys a new movie review, and this time it'll be on Oblivion. Not the game, the new Tom Cruise movie. Now I don't know about you, but it took me last week to realize this movie was coming out, but I figured that I would check it out because I was partly intrigued by it. And I will say I was genuinely surprised. Now, before I get to my opinion about the movie centers on Tom Cruise, who is a repairman sent to, fix these drones that are patrolling the entire circumference of the Earth after a giant war with aliens that ended up, he says at the beginning of the movie that we won the war, but the Earth has gone to shit pretty much, and now we live up in the sky in the space station until we can someday maybe repopulate the Earth. But in the meantime, we live in the space station, and Tom Cruise plays a repairman sent to fix these drones. However, on one of his daily gigs, he stumbles upon a discovery that will ultimately uncover the truth behind Earth's post-apocalyptic war, as well as for Jax, Tom Cruise's character. How many times is Tom Cruise going to be named Jack? Now, right off the bat, I'm going to say that this is one of those rare occasions where I see the trailer for a movie, and for some reason, when I first see that trailer, I go, that looks kind of generic. And then as time goes by and as I see more trailers, I go, okay, that might be actually kind of interesting. This is one of those movies. It starts off with what I believe is a pretty decent setup. It takes its time to introduce to you this world, Earth ravaged by this war that happened a long time ago between the humans and an alien race. And it's pretty beautiful to look at. It shows you all the technology, how far humankind has come in order to develop this technology, in order to maintain Earth at this level, even though it's completely, like I said, gone to shit. And just, you can tell that writer and director, co-writer and director, Joseph Kosinski, I believe that's how you pronounce his last name, loves science fiction, and it clearly shows here. A wide variety of aspects of this movie you will look at and be like, okay, that's obviously a derivative of this movie or an homage to this movie, all contained within the science fiction genre. And that's cool to see in the first 30 minutes, but after a while the movie kind of slows down and meanders a little bit. I just felt like it was becoming a little too comfortable in taking its time to show us this world that I felt like, okay, come on, pick up the pace a little bit now. You gotta start showing something that's very, like, it lands an impact. And it does an hour into the movie in the form of Morgan Freeman. When Morgan Freeman gets introduced, bomb after bomb of truth is being dropped on Tom Cruise's lap, and the movie does indeed pick up in terms of intrigue, in terms of action sequences. Now, does it succeed in every level? Not necessarily, but for the massive majority, it does. There were some plot devices that I thought were very cliche. Some, very peculiar conveniences where you're like, oh, it's funny how that worked out. You got the typical guy who's very, gruff, and you can tell he's not going to get along with Tom Cruise's character. But of course, later on, when Tom Cruise is down, who's there to help him up? And I felt like maybe the writers, Joseph Kosinski was one of the co-writers, I felt like maybe he didn't want to go that route, that cliche route, but unfortunately he was probably on some sort of deadline. The script needed to be due, and he needed to start filming, so he had to fall back on that cliche. But because for every cliche, there was this very clever plot device where I looked at that and went like, wow, that actually took me by surprise. It made me wince a smile a bit, not because it was funny, but because it actually brought me pleasure in terms of watching a genuine sci-fi movie. They would refer back to some of its more clever ideas to the point where there were more of them were showing up towards the latter half of the movie, in which by the end of this movie I was like, wow, that was actually pretty heavy and hauntingly beautiful at the same time. My only complaints would be that, again, it does fall back on some cliches. The first, actually I'm not even going to say the first hour, I'm going to say the second 30 minutes of the first hour, because the first 30 minutes are actually genuinely intriguing, in which they show you how this world operates in this post-apocalyptic world. So I'm going to go ahead and say that last 30 minutes of the first hour, in which it just slows down to a very molasses-like pace. In that time period, it got a little, not only did it slow down in terms of the pacing of its story, but also some of its presentation was very, very basic. Like, an awful lot of the things that they were showing were like, okay, been there, done that in terms of sci-fi. As well as some of the dialogue that the characters were saying, the way they interact, you're like, okay, I've seen the way they're interacting, I've seen that many times before, and especially in sci-fi movies. And lastly, Tom Cruise. He's not bad, but Tom Cruise is getting to that level. I think every A-list actor at some point, more towards, when they're in their 50s or getting close to their 50s like Tom Cruise is, they start to, you know, get to that point where they're starting to play almost the same character in every movie. Johnny Depp is starting to reach that point as well, and now Tom Cruise is the new inductee. He has to talk like he's keeping a secret in almost every scene. At this point, I'm almost willing to accept a Les Grossman movie. I don't know if it's still happening, but if you guys don't remember, there was some talk about, you know, like maybe 1-2 years ago about a Les Grossman spin-off movie. Bad idea at first, but now I'm starting to welcome it. In the end, even though I did leave the theater feeling pretty satisfied, I felt like there were, every now and then, I felt like there was a missed opportunity for an even greater film. So I'm gonna go ahead and give Oblivion a 7.9 out of 10, which is a C+. Plus, I'm gonna go ahead and be nice. And if any of you guys are big fans of the Portal games, I think you'll welcome this movie with open arms towards the end. So thank you guys for watching. Be sure to subscribe to my channel. I'll be posting a lot more videos soon. We got more movies coming out. We're officially starting the summer movie season, so I'll be posting a lot more movie reviews, more video game reviews. I got, you know, about maybe 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 video games left to play. And I'll hopefully be posting reviews for those games soon, as well as 3 incoming games in the mail. I just hope I don't go broke. And on top of that, I might be bringing back some figure reviews. I'm not gonna full on and say I'm buying a lot of Transformer figures, I'm gonna be reviewing them all the time here. But I will say that I've added 2, 3, maybe 4 figures to my wish list on Amazon. And hopefully in due time, by the end of the year, I will at least say by the end of this year, if I do so happen to purchase these figures, I will more than likely be reviewing them. So be sure to subscribe to my channel for those upcoming videos, and thank you guys for watching. Take care.